Welcome to the Story World channel. Enjoy your viewing experience. Paige strolled out of the store, her hands filled with groceries, when suddenly someone tugged at her sleeve. Paige, hi, how are you? It was Rachel. Oh, Rachel, you scared me. Everything's fine, family, kids, just like everybody else, Paige replied with a warm smile. Rachel's face lit up as she said, Listen, there are 10 years since graduation next week, and all of our classmates are getting together. Are you going to come? Paige hesitated, not really keen on attending the homecoming, but Rachel was persistent. Come on, Paul Smith and Albert Jones are coming, and even Bianca Lewis and others. Do you think your Stephen won't let you go? Want me to talk to him? It's been 10 years after all. Paige, please come over for an hour, at least. Reluctantly, Paige promised she would think about it, and after saying goodbye to Rachel, she went home. At dinner that evening, she told her husband Stephen about the meeting with her former classmate. Stephen, I met Rachel today near the store, she began. A homecoming is coming up, and all my classmates will be there. It's been 10 years since graduation. Even Bianca, my childhood friend who lives in Israel, will be there. I haven't seen her in 10 years. Stephen, ever supportive, replied, Paige, honey, if you want to go, then go, of course. He leaned in and kissed her on her frowning forehead. Honestly, I don't know if I want to go, Paige admitted. Will you come with me? Stephen looked surprised. Why? I don't know anyone. They're your classmates. Go, and I'll take the kids to the park. We'll feed the squirrels and ducks there, and that's it. It's decided then. You're going, and besides, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Look how beautiful you are, don't even doubt it, Stephen reassured her. A few days later, as the homecoming arrived, the former classmates were overjoyed to see each other. Paige had already forgotten that she initially didn't want to go. She was having a blast, laughing, joking, and reminiscing about the past. She warmly embraced her school friends, feeling a sense of nostalgia and connection. In that moment, it seemed as if Paige had momentarily forgotten that she had 2 children and a loving husband waiting for her at home. The reunion turned out to be a wonderful experience, rekindling old friendships and creating new memories. Paige was grateful to Rachel for insisting she attend and thanked her husband, Stephen, for being so understanding and supportive. It turned out to be a delightful occasion that reminded Paige of the cherished bonds formed during her school days, making her feel rejuvenated and grateful for the beautiful life she had built with her family. As the time came for Paige to head home, an unexpected voice pierced the air, a voice she thought she had left behind in the depths of her memory. Her heart skipped a beat, and her mind raced as she tried to ignore the person behind that familiar tone. You're leaving already, Paige, but you didn't even say hello, the voice called out, feigning ignorance of the earlier pretense. Feeling a mix of emotions, Paige replied shakily, Hi, Albert. I have to go home now. Albert, unwilling to let her go so easily, pleaded, Wait, please. Just a few minutes. Tell me how you're doing. Taking a deep breath, Paige responded, I'm fine, just like everyone else. Children, husband, the usual. And you? Not too bad, either. I graduated from the university and got married, Albert replied. Paige's bitterness crept into her smile as she interjected, You know, Albert, I didn't finish school on time. Confused, Albert asked, What do you mean? You were an excellent student. Paige explained, You don't know the whole story. My mother sent me to a health resort abruptly, and I had to finish school there. It wasn't the path I had planned for myself. Understanding dawned upon Albert. I see. I'm sorry for bringing it up. No, it's fine, Paige said, her tone softening. I'm content with my life now. I work in a pharmacy and my husband is wonderful. Albert tried to empathize. I didn't mean to offend you. Staying in this town is normal. Not everyone wants to conquer the big city. Some prefer a quiet and peaceful life. I'm not offended. In fact, I'm happy with my life, Paige assured him. I know many things you don't. Curiosity piqued, Albert inquired, What do you mean? Paige paused for a moment before revealing. For example, I know about the bet you and Paul had on me. The way you both courted me so beautifully. Even the teachers thought we were a beautiful couple, and your mother didn't seem to approve of me. Embarrassed, Albert tried to defend himself. I didn't mean any harm. It was just a silly bet. I was an excellent student, despite everything, Paige continued. But perhaps if your mother knew about the bet, she'd have understood that you were just playing around and that it wasn't anything serious. The past seemed to weigh heavily on Albert as he muttered, I regret ever being a part of that bet. I'm sorry, Paige. Paige looked at him with a mixture of emotions but decided to offer forgiveness. It's in the past now. Let's leave it there. With that, she bid him farewell and walked away, content with her life's path, even if it had its own unexpected turns and surprises. Paige, you've got it all wrong. Yes, there was a bet, but it was a foolish and juvenile one. Paul and I made a wager on who you would choose. If you picked me, he'd give me his tape recorder, and if you chose him, I'd give him my scooter. Looking back, it all seems so silly. At that time, I was truly in love with you, and material possessions meant nothing compared to my feelings. Then, something unexpected happened. I had to visit the doctor, and my mother suddenly claimed that I had a serious heart problem. She insisted that I urgently move in with Aunt Kate, who lived near the university clinic with the best cardiac surgeons. It was supposedly to avoid an irreparable situation. I wrote you letters every day, pouring my heart out, not knowing that my aunt, who worked at the post office, intercepted them all at my mother's request. I was naive and hopeful, waiting for your response, while in reality, you never received a single one of my letters. Then, my mother broke the news that you had gotten married, shattering my heart. Paige looked into Albert's eyes, sensing the truth in his words. Her memories of the past flooded her mind. She had dreamt for years of this moment, of confronting the man who had abandoned her so heartlessly during her most vulnerable time. The emotions of the past, the pain of being judged, condemned, and ignored because of her predicament, came rushing back. As they stood there, a sudden appearance interrupted the tense moment. Bianca, who had been hiding nearby, made her way to them, feigning emotions and attempting to mock Paige and Albert's reunion. But Paige wasn't having any of it. Enough, Bianca. You're drunk, she interjected, not willing to let her bitter words affect her anymore. Bianca's true colors began to show as she lashed out at both Paige and Albert, revealing her betrayal. I was the one who set it all up. I told your mother about the bet, Albert, she proclaimed with a spiteful grin. Paige felt a mix of anger, hurt, and relief knowing that Bianca's true intentions had finally surfaced. And you, Bianca, pretending to be my best friend all this time, she said, shaking her head in disbelief. Bianca's insults continued, but Paige refused to let them affect her. She had moved past the pain and was no longer defined by the judgments of others. Your words mean nothing to me now, Paige declared, feeling a newfound strength within. Albert, finally understanding the extent of the deception, confronted Bianca. How could you betray me like this? With a smug expression, Bianca responded, You chose that nerd over me. I couldn't stand it. Paige interrupted, Albert, let's not waste our time with her anymore. We've both moved on and found happiness in our lives. With that, Albert and Paige walked away, leaving Bianca's bitter words behind. They knew that their reunion wasn't about rekindling a lost love, but rather about finding closure and moving forward with the knowledge that their past experiences had shaped them into stronger individuals. As they walked away, hand in hand, they embraced the uncertainties of the future, knowing that they were finally free from the shackles of their past. Headmistress and your mother were cruel to Paige, reveling in her misfortune when she lost her scholarship and was expelled from school. Among all the onlookers, Bianca was the only one who seemed to derive pleasure from Paige's downfall, pretending to be concerned while secretly delighting in the situation. Albert, overwhelmed with anger at Bianca's wickedness, struggled to contain himself, yearning to confront her for her heartless actions. On the other hand, Paige stood tall and proud, facing the chaos caused by Bianca's rage. Addressing her classmates, Paige expressed her gratitude, acknowledging that she rarely had a reason to thank them. She even thanked Bianca, acknowledging that her hardships and struggles had ultimately led her to a great husband and beautiful children. However, Bianca's response remained rooted in anger, refusing to let go of her bitterness and animosity. Albert, not wanting any further trouble, approached Paige, taking her shoulders gently and turning her to face him. He wanted to understand the truth about their child, but Paige was resolute in her response, revealing that she had a daughter 4 years ago and a son 10 years ago. Despite Albert's curiosity, Paige urged him to leave the past behind and stay away from her family. Walking away with her head held high, Paige left Albert behind, pondering the complexities of the past and the choices they had made. Later that day, at home, Paige's husband, Stephen, warmly greeted her, eager to know about her school reunion. Paige recounted the event, mentioning that almost all her classmates had attended, and they reminisced about their school days and had a good time. Curious about Bianca, Stephen inquired whether Paige had invited her over, considering she had come from a long distance. However, Paige responded with a sigh, revealing that Bianca was leaving for Israel the following morning. As they got ready for bed, Paige closed her eyes tightly, trying to imagine a different reality where she and Albert had found happiness together. But she scolded herself mentally, reminding herself that the past was behind her and she was now content with her loving family. In a parallel universe, a version of Paige and Albert did find happiness together. They sat in their cozy kitchen, discussing their son sleeping soundly in the next room, cherishing their time as a family. In the end, the choices made in life led to different outcomes, and Paige was grateful for the path she had taken, knowing that her present held the love and warmth she had always longed for. The past remained in the past, and she looked forward to a bright future with her husband and children.